And testing. 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 Look, I'll just share this on Facebook. People start arriving pretty soon. Testing, testing. If you can hear me twice, that's because I've actually got the player open right now. I'll just share this on Facebook. People start arriving pretty soon. Testing, testing. I'll switch this off in a minute, don't worry. If you can hear me twice, that's because I've actually got the player open right now. I'll just share this on Facebook. People start arriving pretty soon. Testing, testing. I'll switch this off in a minute, don't worry. If you can hear me twice, that's because I've actually got the player open right now. I'll just share this on Facebook. Okay, I'm going to share this now in the groups, actually, because which is the group I want to share it in. There we are. Alright, okay. I'll check the chat box in a minute. I expect some of you are already there. Should I? Oh, maybe I'll share them. I'll share them in other groups later. I have to think about which ones. But hello, Luke Griffin. Hello, Woody Black, and hello, Tina Silver. How are you all? I hope you're all right. I'm guessing you can hear me. My OBS appears to be working. My microphone's activated. But oh, thanks, Tina. I look well. Thank you. I hope you're all right. Send me a Facebook message. Let me know how you're getting on, because I know we were talking privately. Hello, Steve Sanderson. How are you? Nice to see you. Oh, good, good. Brilliant. Thanks, Tina. Tina says loud and clear she's okay. That's good. Yes, David Schultz. How the hell are you, he says. I'm well, thank you, David. I hope all's going well for you, wherever you are, in whatever time of day it is for you. Must be about... what, 1 p.m., something like that, 2 p.m. Hello, Paul Armstrong. How are you? I want to say thanks to Paul Armstrong. Paul Armstrong, thank you very much for taking part on the Hapanwa Radio special tribute show to Ian R. Crane that I did last night. Hello, Pookie Nana. Welcome. How are you? Hope you're doing all right, Pookie. I like Jam Noise voices. She did a really good time. She did a really good job, didn't she? I was really enjoying that. What's with the tie? Oh, well, everything will be explained. Hello, David. How are you? David, Splendid Isolation, thank you very much for being on the Hapanmo Show chat box last night. I really appreciate that. You were one of the hearty party. You stayed right to the end, which I really do admire. About 2 a.m. we finished. Tanya Cummings. Hi, Ben, from New South Wales, Australia. Hey, Tanya, thank you very much for joining us from all that distance away. I hope you, it must be quite, yeah, Tanya. Tanya, I think, were you the person who went to Ian's shows in Australia? I think that it might have been where we talk about Ian. And Raphael Ward says, I love Ian R. Crane, love truth, Ian R. Crane to the universe. Yeah, I know what you mean, Raphael, yes. It's a sad time, you know, this. It's when we lose someone, especially someone like Ian, who's like a really huge loss, a really big blow, I think. So I'm just going to wait for a few more people to arrive. When someone as prominent as Ian and really touches people the way he did, in their hearts and their souls and minds. Hello, Israel Diego Rivera 2 Genius 2. Greetings, Diego Rivera. How are you? Hope you're all right. I think I need a pair of glasses. I'm sort of like squinting like that. Maybe I'm getting short-sighted. Oh, thanks. Pookie Dan says hitting like increases visibility. Oh, thanks. Well, you feel free to go ahead, guys, and hit like. I know already there'll be some dislikes because my trolls will be waiting, as they always do. I think they probably sub and hit the notification bell so they can dislike every video I upload as soon as it's there. See, Tanya, I thought so. Yeah, I thought we did discuss earlier on. I think you posted a comment on my original Ian R. Crane live video when Ian died, because he, of course, toured everywhere. He went all over the place, didn't he? He just went absolutely everywhere. Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. Oh, looking very smart and presentable then, Ben. Job interview or court appearance. You know, I haven't had either of those for a very long time. Tina says another friend of hers went into hospital last Thursday with pneumonia and died, age 62. I'm really sorry, Tina, I really am. That's deepest condolences to you. Yeah, that's not old these days. I mean, Ian, people have also asked me how old was Ian. I don't know exactly how old Ian was. I think he was 60-something, I think. I think maybe mid to late 60s, which again is not that old these days. It's not that old. Not that old. But well, I think the viewers are 19. I think it's levelling off a bit now. Yeah, as you've noticed, I'm dressed rather more formally than I usually am for live streams, because I think this is a special occasion. It's of course, we're saying goodbye to a friend and a mentor and someone I think who's touched all our lives in one way or another. And so I thought I ought to dress respectfully. I've also changed the lighting slightly. You may notice the big ceiling light is switched off. I might do that permanently, actually, because it seems to the big ceiling light seems to look perfectly well without the ceiling light. Actually, I just need like a reflection or something on this side. I think it's maybe put like a white screen up on big side. Tanya says Ian was 64. Right, you are, Tanya. All right, that's 64's not that old. No, it's not that old these days. My dad is almost a decade older than that. Thanks, Pookie. I'm glad I look all smart. I thought I should have some kind of form. Although, thing is, I've got like a locked. I've turned into a typical. I've got a typical lockdown flab. And I can't even. This shirt is too tight. I was putting this shirt on before the lockdown. It fitted me fine. As I said in my, as I was explaining in my Oxford Monolith video, you know, I've put on a lot of weight over the last year, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure a lot of people could tell you this story that they've like piled on the pork a little bit because of the lockdown. I have been working, but I've been working. I've been working less than normal, as I think everyone is. But yeah, I wanted to sort of pay homage to Ian. I did it on Hapanmo TV. Now on Hapanmo Radio, I did last night. I did you can actually get it now. There's a link in the description box to it. It's a link in the description box. It's the program 411 of the Hapanmo show on Hapanmo Radio, which is like a tribute to Ian. And it's a long show too. It actually goes on. It ended up going on for 6 hours. We didn't finish till 2 a.m. Really good long. It's the longest radio show I've ever done. And I know some of you were there. Paul Armstrong, David Splendid Isolation, they were there. Not everybody else will make it. I know not everyone, and not any one of you goes, because there's quite a lot like. Although there is some overlap between people who watch Hapanmo TV and listen to Hapanmo Radio, but there's a lot of you who just listen to one or who just consume one and not the other. So I thought I'd better do something on YouTube as well. Got to stop thinking of it as YouTube, on video on Hapanmo TV. Fast Driver, hello, Fast Driver 2020, says, it's a shame you weren't AV5. I caught Ian covering up a scandal at a truth concert. No, what he did was, Fast Driver, I remember this very well. An incident happened in which Ian and the management were potentially legally responsible. He wasn't covering up. He wasn't covering up for the purposes of deception. It was discretion. I know what you're referring to. I know one of the guests. What happened was there was an incident. I don't want to go into detail. I think most of you know anyway. There was an incident with one of the guests, a gentleman who came all the way from Australia, I believe, which was potentially a legal problem. Ian was. I know some bloke went up to him with a camera and shoved it in Ian's face and says, "Ian, tell us all about it. Tell us all about it." And Ian said no comment, which is the correct thing to do. It's not for deception. It's for discretion. He just did the right thing there. He wasn't covering anything up. I mean, we all know about it. I mean, it was all been talked about. Ian wasn't covering it up. And proselytizing Orthodox Pentecostal Angora Rabbit says, Ben got a job as an insurance salesman. Well done, Ben. Yes, indeed. Would you like to sign this policy? You know. Do I look like that? I don't dress like this habitually. I don't. As you know, I'm normally more informal. Tanya says it's 6 a.m. where she is, and I'm in my PJs. Hope that's okay. Of course, Tanya. I admire you and respect you for getting up this early. I really do. It must be Saturday where you are, and I respect you getting up early on a Saturday morning to be on this live stream. I really do. Eric Kinahan, evening. Good evening, Eric. How are you? And Pookie Nana says to Tina, people that touch our hearts never truly die, as they've given us a beautiful inheritance of themselves. Pookie, that's absolutely right. You know what? If you listen to the Herpanmo radio show, it's worth doing. Even if you don't normally listen to it, it's worth listening to this one, because you don't even have to listen to the first part, because I interviewed Thomas Sheridan, who, of course, works very closely with Ian, and we talked about Ian for a bit, and he made a similar point. It's like, they're not really gone. No, they're not really gone. It's just, hello, Jock of Ages. How are you all? Pookie now says I look like a well-dressed thumb. Yes. You see, this is why I always wear a hat, because I think because I've got this big bald head, and it's like bright white, and he was like, what's the point? Fast Driver 2020 says that was me. He did lie to the conference, but still, like you say, he had his reasons. Oh, is it Matt Taylor? Is that your name, Fast Driver? Is it Matt Taylor? I know you. Yeah, of course I know you. We have spoken before. But I left a comment under your video just explaining the situation, and I don't think his reasons were to deceive people. He really was just concerned about the welfare of the conference and what happened there. He wasn't trying to. He was doing his job as a manager and as an organizer. He really was to the best. He was doing his best to the best of his abilities. Honestly, Ian was not a deceptive person. He really wasn't. Eric Kinahan said, I saw Ian first in 2007 on the Edge with Theo and Channel 200. Same time I became aware of your good self, Ben, and Richard Hall. I've watched all his talks since then. I really miss Edge Media. R.I.P. Ian. Oh, thank you, Eric. You know, yes, I mean, you just pulled my nostalgia strings there. You really, really have, because it was just like those were the days. It really was. Those were the days when everyone seemed to be happy. There wasn't this infighting you get nowadays. Everyone was hopeful. This was not long after 9/11, and everyone kind of really felt like we were going to make huge progress with everything that had been going on. It really was. And Edge Media, Channel 200, the old Theo Chalmers. I'm still in touch with him, you know. His program on the Edge and all the other programs on Edge Media, and Richard Hall, Rich Planet TV and things like that. It was the Rich Planet Starship. Do you remember? And he used to beam people up. When I was on there, the first time I was on there, I was beamed up. It was really good. I love watching that. It's like, it looks so real. I just appear on this settee. Well, all I was doing was sitting there. Richard just said, sit still for a minute. He said, okay, and now just act like you've just appeared. And it was really good. And he had that. It was a wonderful studio set he had. He had like, you could see like the universe and space behind me. And believe it or not, there's nothing behind me except a green painted wall. But he makes it look so good. And all those other programs on the Edge, there was all the other Edge Media programs. I mean, that was rich. That was so. Oh, I missed that. I missed that so much. You can get them on YouTube. A lot of them are around. All the old On the Edge programs. Oh yeah. Hi, Al McCall. Hello, Kev Baker. Hey, how you doing, bruv? You all right? R.I.P. Ian R. Crane. Great stuff, Ben. Catch it on next week on KBS. Need to run. Much love. Thanks, Kev. Much break. Am I on next week? Oh, I am, yes. Monday the 22nd. Right, thanks for reminding me, Kev. That's in my diary anyway. I'll see you then, Kev. Thanks for dropping by, mate. And Rabbit says, talking about people I've never heard of. Rabbit, how long have you been in this business? Because how long have you been involved? Because this is going back like about 15 or so years. There was, I remember I first saw Ian. The first time I saw Ian, I've told the story actually in my last video about Ian, which will be linked in the description box. But 2006, the Glastonbury Symposium, which I never went to. I went to one, which is 2010, where Ian was. Ian spoke every single one, and yep, there he was. He walked on. I mean, and he was like this big chubby guy. He had like a t-shirt and a waistcoat on. He looked different in those days. He had long brown hair in those days. I think he would have been 50 or so. He would be about 50 years old, and so quite youthful 50. And oh, it was great. Yeah, and I was hooked. I thought, this guy's brilliant. Not only is his information fantastic, but he's got such charisma on stage. He's such a great orator. Tina Silver says, first heard of Ian Crane on Red Ice Radio. Yes, he did some fantastic interviews with Red Ice. I mean, the wonders about the London 2012 Olympics. I don't know if they're still there. If you want to borrow them, Tina, I've got podcasts. If you can't find them online, but they are so good. They are so good. Eric Kinahan says Theo was a great interviewer. He was, wasn't he? He was. Theo actually is very good as a devil's advocate because he's quite challenging. He's not sort of like, he doesn't like give you an easy time, but he's really open-minded. I knew him personally, and he never interviewed me, but I was never on his show. But he knew me. We got to know each other personally. Believe it or not, he's very much on our side. He really is. David Splendid Isolation says, I wonder what's planned for the 20th anniversary of 9/11 this year. You could ask Joe Biden. He'll probably blurt it out, knowing him. He'll go, "Oh yes, we're going to plant a bomb here." And, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't meant to tell you that." "Oh, Kamala's giving me dirty looks." Oh. Yeah. Razmatas, hello. Ian was the guy responsible for my awakening many years ago, and for that I'll be ever grateful to him. Thanks, Raz. That's brilliant, mate. That's really, really good. Yeah, he's. A lot of people have told me stories like this. A lot of people have contacted me saying Ian really inspired me, and he did me. I mean, I was already sort of into this stuff, but 2006 was when I started the Hapanmo blog, which is my first delvings into what I am doing now. And I wonder if it was because I saw that DVD of Ian. I bought the DVD of Ian from Dave Starbuck, and I wonder if it was another guy we've lost, sadly. Yeah. Rabbits asked, was he a truther? Yes, he was. Eric Kinahan, Rich Planet Starship and Question Everything. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, the Rich Planet. I still watch Rich Planet TV. It's still great. As I said before, Richard himself he's changed his style quite considerably, but it's definitely still worth watching. Tina Silver, anyone remember Gardner's World with Philip Gardner? Yeah. I think was that on the Edge or was that on Showcase? But I thought it was fascinating. Hello, Crafty Nihilist. How are you? Welcome. Check out the channel. Check out Crafty Nihilist's channel, because there's another video with me in. It's really funny with spiders, I believe. Crafty. Kev Baker says hit like and share. Thank you, Kev. Thank you very much. Eric Kinnan. David called Ian the Antichrist. that was David Shaler. Yeah. That was so funny. Oh, honestly, Ian laughed at that. David Shaler, he's a good guy. I like David Shaler. David, I've met him a few times, and I've spoken to him. I interviewed him once actually on the Herpanmo show. He's a good guy, you know. He does go a bit over the top sometimes, and especially a few years ago when he was having like this big Kundalini download, and he came up with some really wacky ideas. I think I really can't gel with everything he says, but he was on the edge, and it was Frankie Marr presenting. Oh, the Antichrist is Ian R. Crane. His name means skull, and Frankie just said, Ian. So it's David. We've got to be quiet now. We can't go saying things like that on TV, all right? And she had to shut him down, but she was trying not to laugh. He was not the Antichrist. No, he wasn't. David says, Ben, I thought you were going out dancing tonight. You look like you are on a deck out for a date. Oh, that'll be the day. That'll be the day, David. Jam Noise. Hey, how you doing? R.I.P. How are you, Soul Sister? I love your voices video. Check out Jam Noise's voices. My Soul Sister Jam Noise can do brilliant voices. The Southern Preacher one is so good. It's so different from her normal voice. And there's Nicola Sturgeon as well, I think. I think that's meant to be Nicola Sturgeon you're doing. Jock of Ages says, I must look these up. I only ever seen Richard Hall, but I knew there were other channels involved. Hey, how you doing? Tanya says Ian is irreplaceable and we will miss him. Yeah, we will, won't we? Yeah. There'll never be another Ian R. Crane. I know. But you know, the thing about it is he left behind. I mean, he's gone but not forgotten in the literal sense, as Thomas was saying on my show. You know, he carries behind a kind of existential life that kind of supersedes his physical life. Like other people like Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley and people like that. It's this reason that it's this legend, oh, Elvis is still alive and stuff like that, is because in a way he is. He's alive in people's hearts because they loved him so much. You know, yeah, he's and Ian's the same. Ian is someone who Ian has left behind a massive amount of information, which Ian is still going to continue to wake people up from the grave. Funny enough, he never wrote a book. You know, he's one of the few people who gets into this thing and never wrote a book. I mean, everyone else does. I mean, I've written 4 actually since I became kind of conspiratorial. If you include Rockall, which is earlier, which is quite conspiratorial. No, Ian never wrote a book, but he recorded so many interviews, so many talks, and he did make a feature film. Like it's slightly sub-feature in terms of duration. It's 1 hour. But it's a documentary, Voices from the Gas Fields, which is a documentary about fracking. You know, Nihilist Lives Matter says Biden will blame 9/11 on white supremacy. Nihilist, I think it'll be something connected to that. Yeah, it'll be. I think there's a lot of Orwellian stuff in US, and they're trying to call all white people racists and things like that. And I think it'll be something connected to that. And you notice the Ring of Steel is still around the Capitol. Wasn't it supposed to be just there for the inauguration? It's still there. Is he really as popular as he's pretending to be? Woody Black says, yeah, I saw that video, The Terror of Ben. Oh, Ian, like, if you go to YouTube, just put Ian R. Crane, you could spend weeks going through all this stuff. I mean, I've got some of the DVDs. I've been going through them, actually, all the old DVDs I got from Ian. Because Ian actually, I bought as many as I could from him because I know he was basically living off the money from the DVDs. Well, Ian was partly living off money from the DVDs, and he was also living off the proceeds from the sale of his house. Which obviously, like all these people who say Ian was a shill, and he was in it for the money. I mean, this is absurd. I mean, I think I made this point in the last video about Ian, but it's insane. He lived in a caravan with he had a gas heater and a chemical toilet. And he got really excited when he came to stay with me and Sue, my ex-partner. He was like really excited because he'd had a second caravan. It'd been donated to him by some people. So some people actually wrote to me when they saw my video. They'd actually donated Ian's second caravan. He had one in Devon and another one in Lancashire, and he was so excited because he had two chemical toilet gas heated caravans. When I say gas heated, I mean in the middle of winter. That's not going to heat it very much. Yeah, but you could honestly people even people who've never heard of Ian who start getting into this stuff now, they're going to be watching Ian's videos, and they're all there, and they're mirrored all over the place. They're on BitChute as well, and Odyssey. They're all over the place. And of course, I've contributed to that myself with the 3 interviews I did with Ian, which you can get on Hapanmo Radio. So, yeah, everything he did is going to continue. All the work he's doing, the work he did is not over yet. It's going to continue, and no doubt he'll be popping back. I mean, I reckon someone will channel him at some point. He'll pop back and keep an eye on us. I'm sure he will. Rabbit says, I used to focus on the flat Earth nuts mainly. Didn't follow the truth movement. Well, to be honest, I mean, I've got nothing personal against the flat Earthers. I've interviewed a couple of them. I did an interview with David Weiss a couple of weeks ago. I've interviewed Mark Sargent. I've disagreed with them. I think the best way to deal with the flat Earth is just explain why it's wrong. I mean, other people, like Andrew Johnson, Jarrah White, I mean, they just pour hatred on these people. I think the thing to do is simply to explain why you think they're wrong. Lime Specs, hello. How are you? Lime Specs, you wanted a live stream, you got a live stream. I wish it was on a happier subject. I really do. It's unfortunate, it's the problem. Lime Specs, you remember Ian, Edge Media and AV. Yeah, the AV conferences, yes. Fast Driver says, when are you and Andrew Johnson going to put the past behind you and make amends? Well, as I explained, I mean, to give you a bit of background, the reason I fell out with Andrew Johnson is because of Ian. Well, you can watch the background video for more details. Basically, I don't know, Fast Driver. I mean, as I said, Ian has to, I think Andrew owes Ian's family an apology, a big, big apology. But as I said, I don't believe that Andrew was being malicious. I don't think he used the opportunity of Ian announcing his imminent demise to attack him. I think he was just being tactless. To be honest, I think Andrew's a bit autistic. I really do. So I think he was being very heartless. I think he was being insensitive and tactless. But that's not the same as being malicious, is it? I mean, so maybe I sometimes think I was too hard on him because I lost my temper with him. I don't often lose my temper, but I won't repeat what I called him. And it was on Facebook, of course, where all the worst abuse seems to take place. And I blocked him, but I think he owes them an apology. Eric says, did Ian refuse conventional treatment? I saw he was anti-chemo. I believe, from what I've heard, yes, he did, Eric, and I think that was the right thing to do. And it was a very courageous decision to do as well, because it's very easy to talk about, oh yeah, when I have cancer, I'll just pop some pills. I'll just take GMAF or cannabis oil or something like that. I'll be fine. And of course, that's not true. Cancer is a serious disease. There is no anti-cancer medication which is 100% successful. It doesn't exist. What we have is a situation where there is anti-cancer treatments and interventions which are much more effective than the conventional ones, which is basically cut it off and poison the stump, which is surgery, chemo, radiotherapy. Ian made when faced with your own mortality, when you're sitting in front of the doctor and the doctor says, sorry mate, you got cancer, I mean, it's very easy it's very easy to lose your willpower at that moment. I don't know what that feels like. It's never happened to me, but people do. I mean, Bill Hicks did. He lost his willpower. He went down the conventional route and sadly passed away. I mean, he had pancreatic cancer, so there wasn't much hope for him anyway. But Ian very bravely, and I think correctly, chose I think what could have been a more effective treatment. I don't know all the details, but from what I've heard, that's what he did. And I know for a fact the bloody skeptics they're gonna do. You know what they're gonna do? The bloody skeptics are going to harness Ian to their agenda. They're going to suck his bones, aren't they? They're going to say, "Look, everyone, here we have a conspiracy theorist who believed in the cancer cure conspiracy. He didn't use conventional treatment and he died. Look, everyone." That's what the bloody skeptics are going to do. I'm just waiting for them to do that. And the truth of the matter is, people sadly die of cancer all the time, regardless of what treatment you get. You have a high risk of it killing you. And what we have at the moment, we have some really, really effective treatments, which are very difficult to get hold of, and sometimes they're not always. It's not. Sometimes the treatment's not very well organised, because it can't be, because the oncology system doesn't back it up and things like that. It's sometimes difficult to get the ingredients, difficult to get the right ingredients. I mean, this is one of the things that Thumped did. Do you remember that Ian was talking about Thumped? For example, if you want high dosage of B17, you can't. It's limited by these laws. I mean, there were EU rules, but the post Brexit, I think they're still talking about it. So I'm going to be very angry with the skeptics if and when they decide to start attacking all of us who question the whole big pharma conspiracy and the big pharma industry, the cancer industry as it's called. That's what G. Edward Griffin called it. And they're going to use Ian's memory to do that. They're going to exploit it. They're going to parasite off Ian's memory to do it in the same way that the feminists were over Sarah Everard's memory. I'll be very angry when that happens. It will happen. Nihilist says, Elvis, Monroe and the dead Chuckle Brother, true immortals. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Chuckle Brothers, yeah. I remember one of them died, didn't they? Yeah. Rabbit says, David Shaler once declared himself to be the second coming of Christ. What is it with the messianic narcissism and the name David? Rabbit, do you know when that was? Do you know when David Shaler actually did that? It was in 2006 at the Glastonbury Symposium. He was the speaker after Ian. He really was. Red Ice did a big report from it. They said they'd just watched Ian, and then they watched David Shaler come in. David Shaler was going to talk about something else. He came on and announced that he was the second coming. Eric Kinahan, David Dees passed in 2020. R.I.P. David Dees. I know Ian was a fan of David's, both cancer. Yeah, there's a David who's not narcissistic, Rabbit. David Dees is a fantastic satirical artist. He creates the most brilliant political tableaus. I think they're absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you have seen one of them. At least Ian used them all the time. David Icke uses them. They're everywhere. I mean, I've put them up as well. I've used them for some things. They're so energetic and so humorous and so imaginative and so full of energy. They're amazing. Pookie Nana, Bill Hicks. It's just a ride. Yeah. And we can change the ride any time we like. It's just a choice between fear and love, as Bill Hicks used to say, bless him. Another great soul who was lost. It's funny, there was that song by Billy Joel, Only the Good Die Young. And it seems to be being proven, isn't it? It's like, I did my own little meme once where I had on one side, because it was in 20. Do you remember there was all those people who died in 2016, all those famous people, and I had like Carrie Fisher and Prince and Keith Chegwin and all these other people, and David Bowie and all these other people. They died like in their late 50s or early 60s. And they on one side of the meme it says, "Oh, think how much longer we could have lived. All we needed to do was be evil." And on the other side, I had Prince Philip and Robert Mugabe and George Soros and David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger. And the caption is, "Well, we tried to tell you. When are those old bastards going to die?" It's like, oh god. Prince Philip has community guidelines and everything, but let's just say that when Prince Philip came out of hospital and went home and he's sitting there, his little lizard-like body in the back of the car seat, I had neutral feelings. Neutral. Richard Kinzett says, has David Noakes and Lynn Thayer been informed? I wonder. Oh, I'm sure they have. They knew Ian very well indeed. They knew Ian very well. I don't know whether they were involved in Ian's medication or not. I don't know that. That's something that's not been released. But I know Ian backed them up and supported them when they were persecuted for trying to save lives. Yeah. We have got Zoad Earth. Harmony B. Hi, is it Zoad or Zoad Earth? That's a great name. Eric Kinnan says Andrew Johnson's a strange man. Yeah, Andrew Andrew actually is, as I said in the last video on Ian, my professional relationship to Andrew Johnson's not changed. I have not changed my opinion on any of the things he talks about, 9/11, stuff like that. That's still the same. I still share links to his stuff. I still cite his material. I'd even go and see one of his shows. I mean, I'd have to avoid him personally. Obviously, I'd have to stay out of his way, but I'd be happy. I'd go and see one of his shows. I'd applaud him when he came on stage and stuff like that. You know, the professional and personal, I have to keep separate. Fast Driver 2020. I hope you don't think I'm being malicious by bringing out what happened at AV. I don't. If you Matt Taylor, I don't think it's malicious. I think you made a mistake, Matt. If you're who I think you are, I think you. I said this in the comments section under the video at the time. You know, I think you misjudged Ian. That's not malicious, but I think you made a serious error. Lime Specs, what happened to AV5? Fast Driver, you better tell Lime Specs. Hello, Helen Moody. How are you? Hope you're all right. And we have David, just one name, David. How do you do? And Mick Lewis, 55. Hello. Tina Silver says B17 in almonds. That's right, in the almond pits. You can get them from there. You have to have a grinder to get them out. But you know, if you want to sell, if you want to buy them, I mean, you know Kenton Torrey. He used to be on Edge Media, Kenton. I think he was what did he do? I think he was like one of the producers or something. He's been trying to sell those. He's been trying to start a business, and he's really been hit hard by the regulators. David Schultz, Ben, always remember this: you come one way into this world here, and there are a million ways to leave this world. That's right, David. You know, and you've got to go out. I'll tell you what: you don't get any choice about how you come in. You don't choose whether you're a boy or a girl, or whether you're healthy or whether you have a disability, a congenital disability. You don't choose your parents. You don't choose your race or your culture or your country. You don't even choose what species you are. I mean, you could be born a puppy or a kitten or a baby fish, what they're called, fry. You know, you could be born a cockroach, a baby cockroach. You could be hatched out of an egg, a lizard egg. You don't choose these things. But what you do choose is you choose the way to leave this world. You have control over the life you live and the way you leave it. And all I think we can do is play the best hand we can with the cards we're given. And when you do leave, when my time comes around, however it is, whenever it is, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's in 50 years, I hope I'll do so with courage and with happiness. With Ian went out the best way, I think. He had his family around him. He was just lying peacefully in his bed, and he had his family around him, and you can't ask for anything better than that, I think. That's the best. He had the best send-off, I think, you could ask for. Rabbit says, hopefully someone didn't try to sell him a cancer woo cure in his desperation. Imagine how low you'd have to be to try and con cancer sufferers into buying snake oil. Rabbit, look, I know you're sort of part skeptic and things like that, and I think you're trolling me a little bit here, but that's exactly what the skeptics are going to say, and it's completely wrong. You know, people go for the cut it off and poison the stump method all the time, and they die all the time. Yet other people come along and they have an intervention which has very good effects. It's tested. They do research into it. People like Gillian Longto and these other people. And what happens to them? They end up in jail. Even all their scientists get thrown in the bin. So you're talking rubbish. You really are. Tina Silver says Prince Phil has gone to a private nursing home now. Oh my goodness me! I hope they keep him away from the other patients. Especially at night when he shapeshifts and wanders the corridors. Nihilist lives matter. They're keeping Philip's body warm to roll out when Harry and Meghan open their mouths again and blame it on the distress they caused. You know, it could be. I mean, I think I said this in my last Harry and Meghan video, Nihilist. I do suspect that they're going to use... I think they're going to use possibly something to do with Philip to try and upstage Meghan. I mean, literally, Meghan is doing everything she can to take all the credit and all the publicity. What do the royal family have left to strike back with? They could sacrifice Philip, couldn't they? Hello, Zephyrin Cockram. Joe at Earth says diesel melt asphalt. I don't know what that means. Something to do with the roads. Tanya says there's a legal fund for Lynn Thayer if anyone wants to contribute. See the UK column last Wednesday. Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, they're both still being attacked. It's bloody awful. Yeah. Angel Moon says R.I.P. Ian R. Crane. I met you at AV Heathrow. Remember we shared breakfast on the balcony of the hotel. It was a great conference. Met some great people. Angel, I don't remember you personally, but I'm sure if I saw you, I'd probably recognise you because I very much remember that one. That was either AV2 or AV4. They were at the what was it? It was the hotel. I know it was one of the hotels at Heathrow Airport, and we had the balcony overlooking the runway, and it was so good, wasn't it? It was such a good conference. I mean, they were expensive. I mean, I couldn't afford to go every year, and but Ian kept them as cheap as he could. He didn't make a profit off them. He really tried to keep them cheap, and you really get so much for your money. I mean, I think it's a very good value conference. It's one of the best, despite it's expensive. It's one of the best value conferences you could go to. So what Earth says: boiled cigarettes, water pistol, gloves, glasses, Vaseline. So what Earth, are you trying? I think you're trying to write in Bulgarian or something, and your translation software has gone a bit bad. Hugo Rune, how are you? Have I missed anything? He's asking. We've just been talking about Ian and celebrating his life. This is a memorial live stream to Ian, Ian R. Crane. It's so yeah. That's basically what we're doing at the moment. There's been no lead off. Eric says Matt was just questioning everything. The confrontation with Ian and Thomas was when first became aware of Matt Taylor. When you first became of him? I knew him before then, but I think he misunderstood. I think Matt misunderstood what was going on. He misunderstood the issues associated with him, and he got this idea in his head that Ian was trying to cover up something. When all Ian and the other people at AV5 were doing was they realised that something had gone very, very badly wrong, and there could be a criminal issue here, and they needed to basically keep their mouth shut. That's all it was about. It was discretion. It was not deception. Jam Noise says, bless Ian. Yeah, bless him indeed. Andy Young, hello, how are you? Jam Noise says, I look smart. Oh, thank you, Jam Noise. Well, I mean, I won't be dressing like this on every live stream, I'm afraid. But I will. I may well keep this lighting effect because it's actually a bit better without the ceiling light. There's no real difference apart from that. Maybe I need some kind of reflector on this side because the light's all coming in from my left. I might get like a piece of paper just stuck to the wall would probably do the trick, actually. Hugo says, R.I.P. Ian R. Crane, a good man lost. Yeah, very. Eric says, I forgot what Matt was asking Ian and Thomas. He was asking Ian to give details about this incident that happened with one of the speakers. And Ian said no comment, and so did Thomas quite correctly. David says, I have a large bag of raw bitter almonds in the fridge. The label disclaims on the Laetrile. Oh, really? The label disclaims on the Laetrile cyanide content. David, really? Are they putting fake news warning labels on packets of almonds now? That's interesting because it means if they're doing that, it's probably a good thing because it means a lot of people are aware of the fact that inside the kernels, there's actually inside the pit, there's a very powerful anti-cancer drug in there. Yeah. David says, you're right, Ben. It's a state of mind. The only that you can do is leave it with your karma. Yeah. Rabbit says, yes, Ben, but let's be honest. You're hardly a sane voice when it comes to such things. Well, I think I am, Rabbit. I think I'm perfectly sane. I mean, it's very easy to label people as stupid or crazy or something. Have you ever? There's a very good Japanese phrase actually, which goes, "Those who danced were thought insane by those who could not hear the music." Zoad Earth says all government infrastructure in London is under Sukuk finance. As of June 2019, outside the EU, all policies subject to the law of Wahhabi Sharia alone. I don't think that's true. You're referring to the Sharia, which is the sacred law of Islam. I don't think that's got anything to do with the EU. Fast Driver says his AV conferences was money well spent. They were indeed, weren't they? They really were. Midnight Rider says, how was your Cheltenham? Cheltenham? Midnight Rider. Well, hello, Midnight Rider. I've not been to Cheltenham. I don't think I've ever been there. Oh. David Schultz says, Jojo had a bad day today. He fell 3 times on the stairs of Air Force One. David, I wouldn't be surprised if Kamala Harris pushes him at some point. It's funny, like, if at some point she's probably going to take over from old man Biden. When she does, it's actually not going to make it'll make no real difference. I mean, she's a puppet just like he is. She's just slightly younger and has a slightly better brain. What you will see is you'll see a massive second honeymoon from the feminists and the SJWs because we've got a woman of colour as president. That'll last for a couple of months and then I think it'll go back to normal. Funny enough, like the left are actually not happy with Biden at the moment because they've been like knocking on his door saying, "Hey Joe, can we come in? Do you remember what such great mates we were during your campaign? Yeah, we were like that, weren't we?" And Biden is going, "Oh, I can't see you today. Call me next month." And he's not returning their calls because he doesn't need them anymore, does he? He used them and now he's throwing them away. Ah, yes. Angel Moon says, AV2, Freeman Fly made an appearance. The sky was chemtrail-free as the Orgo guy had his machine working. You were with your girlfriend. I was founder of Northeast Truth Radio. All right, Angel Moon. Yeah, that was like, what was his name? It was not Len Horowitz, but AV2. There was an Orgo guy there, wasn't there? I remember. Yeah, that was my girlfriend Sue, known as Sue Astain on this channel. I mean, this is I split up with her actually in 2016, sadly. But it's so long ago, wasn't it? AV2, yeah. I was the founder of Northeast Truth Radio. You know, if we met, I'd probably remember you, Angel, because we must have talked for a long time. Eric says, so is this the tribute video you said you were going to do, or memorial? Yes, this is. Will you be playing out with The Power of Love by Frankie Goes to Hollywood? No, Eric, I don't do that on live streams. But I did play a lot of the music. I didn't play that one, actually, but on the Herpanwo show last night, I played all the music was, I think all but the opener was music which Ian played at his conferences, all of them, which I associate with him. Tanya Cummins says, isn't it apricot kernels, almond kernels are the nut we eat? Or am I on the wrong track here? I think it is. The almonds are just things you just eat. Now, it is apricot kernels, yeah. I was getting things mixed up. Almonds, of course, are just things you just, like nuts, you just put in your mouth and eat. David says, to Splendid Isolation, usury is illegal under Sharia law, so it's hard to see how the City of London is compliant. Oh, right, yeah, because I think they believe in the gold standard, although I don't think this hasn't stopped countries which are dominated by Orthodox Islam from taking out loans and things like that and getting credit from the World Bank. Diego Rivera, Joe Biden green screen. Yeah, have you seen that? There's this supposedly a deep fake of Joe Biden. I mean, I looked at it and I haven't looked at it in detail, but apparently a lot of them are saying it's real. I don't know. I have to look at it in more detail. Rabbit says, Ben, have you spoken with Paul von Helton? Yeah, a long time ago, Rabbit. A long time ago. I quite enjoyed his channel, actually. Nihilist says, it's Obama's third term by proxy. The Harris thing is a red herring, yeah. Yes, it could be actually that Biden has died and they're just... The deep fake might simply be a CGI Biden. They may, when they do a public appearance, they may have to get an actor and like put makeup on him and things like that. But they can do that in the movies very easily. You've seen what they can do in Hollywood. Andy Young says, I healed a good friend of stage 4 lung cancer with stuff I made in my kitchen counter. So yes, Ben is right on that. So, oh, great stuff, Andy. I mean, I'm actually just to let you know, I've got record on OBS as well as stream, because you start talking about this and the bots start going for you. But I don't care. I don't need YouTube anymore. I've got BitChute and Odyssey. If this stream goes down, I'll just simply stop the recording and upload what I've recorded to BitChute and Odyssey and you get it there. Yeah, it's well done, Andy. Well done for that. Paul Armstrong said, "Let me get a 1 in chat if you agree Ben should just smart for every live stream." You'll be lucky. You'll be lucky, mate. I'll tell you. What I'll do is I'll have to get myself a new shirt probably, or well, obviously maybe at some point I'll find a way to lose weight. David says raw almonds contain B17, but apricots are higher. That's right. It's not the apricot fruit; it's the pit. You've got to like grind up the inside of the pit. Fast Driver says, I do miss Daisy Jones. She was usually the MC at AV5 and she's gorgeous. Yeah. Oh yes. She actually. I think I know who you mean. Yeah. She was very attractive. Yeah. Pork chop. Hello. The most popular candidate in US history. Now that's a conspiracy theory. Yes. So popular that no one went to his. Hardly anyone turned up at his very far and few between campaign stops, and he's now so scared he has to hide behind a ring of soldiers. Patrick Patel, hello. I'm glad you like the shirt. This is the one I used. Did when I made my impression of David Icke. Midnight Rider is putting a Canderel into green tea and chatting. Well, that's not. I prefer unsweetened green tea whenever I drink it. I don't drink it very often. Bill Bailey says, "What happened to Capel Green?" It's coming. It's still in production. It's just because it's been delayed, Paul Armstrong, bloody feminists and SJWs, yeah. Jam Noise says, "I watched the Biden clip, twat 3 times. WTF?" Yeah, I've watched it. I'd have a quick look at it. Right, I didn't have time to watch the whole thing in detail and look at the analysis. You can't tell, but you have to. People have been like really analysing it closely, and apparently they say yes, it's CGI. I can't tell just by looking at it, but they can very very easily bring create a synthespian image of a real person. I mean, they've done it quite openly in the movies. Look at Carrie Fisher, the actress who died in 2016. She was resurrected for the next Star Wars movie. She appeared as a ghost, as a computerized ghost in the movie. And the other actors were like around there talking to her. Paul, Capel's, yep, it is out very soon. Capel Green, it's been a long time coming, but it is going to happen. There's going to be a big screen premiere too, as soon as it's possible. Woody Black looked at D-Live for live streaming too. Yes, I should do actually. I have an account on D-Live. I know that it's good because you can. It's not. There's a couple of others. There's another one that's just come out as well, which is like it's a live streaming site. BitChute are creating a live streaming function very soon. There was also used to be something called Stream Me that unfortunately went downhill. Angel says, when I went to AV2, it was like a godsend. It showed me I was not alone in my understanding of the world. I went to AV3 also. Blessing to Ian R. Crane for enlightening so many people to the truth. Exactly, yes, Angel. I must have seen you at AV3 too, because I went to that. Sue and I went to that one. We didn't stay at the hotel. We didn't stay at the Bristol Thistle. I think that's where it was. We stayed at this sort of self-catering place a little way away. But that was a good one, wasn't it? And Anthony J. Hilder was there. He's dead as well, sadly. David Schultz. Jojo's going to have his first press conference on the 25th. What's that? That's actually on next week. It's next... oh, my goodness me. It's next Thursday. That's going to be interesting. His handles have 6 days to prepare him for the conference. Oh, my goodness. They're going to have to dose him up on the amphetamines, aren't they? Yeah. Fast Driver, would you ever consider doing panel shows where you invite people onto the screen? Yes, I actually did one with Ren Michaelis. Was it? No, it was actually, I did one on this channel with Ren Michaelis, actually, using StreamYard. Zephyr, what's happened to Mark Devlin? He's now a flat earther and the dinosaurs didn't exist. I've actually not spoken to Mark for a couple of months. I know he's moving house. I like Mark, actually. I think he's cool. But I know I think he does believe in the flat Earth. Yeah, I didn't know about the dinosaurs, but a lot of his stuff, a lot of what he talks about is really good. Tanya says, "Was anyone here at AV9 in 2018? I was there. You know, after 4, I never went to any more, Tanya, and I wish I had. I just, well, it's part. I must admit, it was partly to do with cost. Again, that's not a complaint. Ian produced a very good value conference. It was other things got in the way as well. I did go to the last one, AV10. I went with Mark Devlin, actually. It was was it 10? Yeah, it was the 10. I turned up we went along, and I didn't actually attend the conference, but I had a stall, and Mark and I shared a stall. He had his stuff, his books and his T-shirts, and I had my books, and Ian arranged a stall for us, and we shared the cost. Yeah, that was the last time I saw Ian. I actually had an opportunity to see Ian again just a few months ago. He did his 5G. He was on his 5G tour, and this is just before he got sick. And Mark Devlin was going to. Because Mark Devlin used to live near me. We used to see each other socially. He was going to go and see Ian, and he said, "Do you want? I've got a spare ticket. Do you want to come with me?" And I said, "No, I couldn't make it." And I thought, if I'd done that, I'd have had a chance to see Ian for the last time. But I didn't know I was going to look. We didn't know he was going to go. I mean, this is the thing, you know. It's like you don't expect to lose people. It's like, of course, everyone dies, but there's some people I always assume is going to be around. It's like in Evan's land. Do you remember? Evan is always convinced that Warren is just always going to be there for him. Warren is his best friend. Evan is this. I mean, I don't know how many of you have listened to the book, but Evan is basically he's this sort of quite lonely character he's missed parental love in his life, and he has a best friend and a girlfriend who are a lot older than him as a result. And he just always assumes Warren's going to be there for him. And I think I thought that about Ian. It's like, I know I thought, well, he's just going to be there, you know. And I suppose I took him for granted. You can't help taking things for granted, I think. And people as well. Maybe we instinctively just take people for granted. Because, well, I suppose if you don't, then you just will go around thinking, oh my God, you know. But it's funny, you know, when they're gone, they leave an awfully big hole, don't they? You notice their absence. You really do. Hello, lights. The lights were low. Hello. Sentient Ghost says, why did you burn the census form this year? You know what? I've had loads of people asking me about this because they remember the 2011 census and what I did then. I haven't had one. It must have gone to my old. Well, there's two possibilities. Either it went to my old address, and for some reason they think I'm still there, even though I moved out. I moved out now almost 10 years ago. Or it's possible it arrived and my Ahmad and Hossan filled it in for me, but I don't think they know all my details. What I think happened is it arrived and the landlord picked it up and filled it in for all of us. That's what I think happened. Jam Noise says, but what would the point of that be? Why CGI that? As I said, maybe it could have been Jackie. It could be that Biden was ill. Maybe he was having like a seizure or something. I mean, they've got to make him look like he's this. They've got to make him appear for public events where he's supposed to appear. Do you remember when Boris Yeltsin was getting drunk? Because Boris Yeltsin was the first president of post-Soviet Russia, and he had a terrible drink problem. And at one point, he landed on a plane in Dublin because he was going to have like a summit with the Prime Minister of Ireland, and he couldn't get off the plane because he was pissed as a fart. He'd been knocking down the vodka on the flight. I mean, of course, with Biden, it's the fact that he's this senile old git. Jamnoy says it looked real to you. Well, Jackie, I'll have to check it out. I mean, I didn't look at it closely. Legend Real, hello. Fast Driver says, sadly my links aren't getting through, so please Google Guerrilla Democracy News. Check out my memories of AV5 and Ian R. Crane. All right, Matt. I will do, Matt. I don't know. I haven't seen them because I have to approve links, but I haven't actually seen them. So obviously, YouTube is actually blocking them, not me. But I'll do that, Matt. Okay, I do remember your website and your YouTube channel. I think I still subbed to that. I haven't unsubbed anyway. Pork Chop says, old Joe's physician and his wife are culpable, in my opinion, in elder abuse and exploitation. Yeah, definitely. Tanya says, I heard D-Live are taking down conservatives, right-wingers and Republicans. I don't know. I mean, they're supposed to be a free speech site. Fast Driver says, how much did your stall cost? I can't remember. I know I split it with Mark Devlin because we sat beside each other and on... Basically, all we needed was like 2 square feet each, and we were paying for a table. So Mark says, "Look, come with me and split the cost." David says, "Interesting headphones. What's the symbol?" Oh right, yeah, my old ones broke down. My old ones broke down in the middle of in the middle of it was actually in the middle of the Hapanwo show. I think it was last week. Was it the week before last Hapanwo show? And so I had to stop the stream and get these are my spares. They have these like lights on the side. I mean, look, I can actually switch the lights off. Look. But I don't know. It's I think they like someone said they're gaming headset or something. I don't know. But obviously, I mean, it sounds okay. I mean, I've listened. I've done some tests with it, and it sounds okay. So the mic works. Badger Botherer 1. Oh my goodness me. Who is or will be taking the jab? Badger Botherer. You could wait 100 years for me to put my hand up there. Hi, Cosmic Claire. Hello, how are you? Nine Spec says, I will have the jab, to be honest. I get arguments against, but my choice will be to. Yeah, it's your, Lime Specs, I'm in favour of the right to die. I mean, I'm pro-euthanasia. All these people who have to go to Switzerland and Netherlands to voluntarily end their lives, I think they should be allowed to do it here. So as Stephen Molyneux says, you can smash up your own car with a hammer. You can break your own windows in your house. Those are not crimes. It's your own property. You should be allowed to do with your own life what you wish. And it's your body, your choice, as the feminists say. And they apply it wrongly to the issue of unborn babies, but if you take that out the equation, yes, it is your body and it is your choice. I strongly recommend you do not have the vaccine, but if you choose to have it and you've had all the information, then no one has the right to stop you. Nihilist Lives Matter said, the landlord will declare you as a Mormon pansexual woman of colour on your census. Good! That means I can start demanding reparations and calling everyone a racist. Pork chop, good old Boris. He's the one who signed Russia into the IMF loans. Boris is, oh god, I just before I started this, I saw this awful thing on Twitter. Where is it? I actually retweeted it. Here we are. Oh dear, Boris Johnson tweeted 1 hour ago. I've just received my first Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine dose. Thank you to all the incredible scientists, NHS staff and volunteers who helped make this happen. Getting the jab is the best thing we can do to get back to the lives we miss so much. Let's get the jab done. And there's a picture of him sitting there with his fuzzy hair, with a big black coof mask, and there's a nurse sticking a needle in his arm. And I retweeted and I said, oh no, Boris, what's happened to you? Turn away from the dark side, come back to us. That is just really upsetting to see, isn't it? It really is. Okay, just go back up a little bit. Where was I? Cosmic Claire says, I've just been watching some videos where it's obvious fakery with Creepy Joe on green screen. Well, I'll have a look at that, Claire. Jam Noise, of course, Jam Noise thinks it's real. I've seen it briefly. I can't tell from my brief view of it. Yesterday I was just doing too much. I was preparing for the Hapanlo show. I just didn't have a look. I'll have to have a closer look. David Schultz, speaking of jabs, what are the ingredients of the jab? Does anyone know here in the box? They have a list of ingredients on the sheet that comes, a little bit of paper that comes with the box, like all medication does. There's also warnings and all kinds of disclaimers of side effects. Now, those are scary enough, but it's when you get into the secret stuff, like the stuff that Len Horowitz talks about. Please do watch the CIA, what's it called? In Lies We Trust, the CIA, Hollywood and Bioterrorism, which talks about how the government said that the best way of administering a biological warfare agent on the population is for a covert vaccination campaign, which means that if there is a biological warfare agent in it, it will not be on the label. Yeah. Definitely. Someone I know's just had a bloody letter from their doctor inviting them to surgery to have their vaccine. And over 60s get it, and she's only 59 and she's really annoyed. I mean, I no one's done that for me, but you know what I'll say to that. Niles says, I got the vax. Lollipop. I was praying for the nurse today. Sticker sealed. Oh, yes, you get your little sticker. I had my COVID vaccination. Tina, Boris has had the coof, so why is he having the jab? He should be immune. He should be immune, shouldn't he? Why does he need it if he's already had it? If you have a virus, you're immune from that virus. Except, of course, it's mutating, as coronaviruses do. Someone said this, because coronaviruses are like a family of virus, and the coof is just one part of that. They all mutate. And we're talking about this, there's like the South African variant and the Brazilian variant and the Kentish variant and the Geordie variant and the Welsh variant. And I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, what the hell? Claire says, smart looking tonight, Ben. You're doing Ian proud. Oh, thanks. Hello, TK. How are you? I'll check your Facebook page later, Claire. Yeah. By the way, I found that map reference you wanted, the Google Map reference. I put it on Beverly's page as a reply to you. David says Biden's hand goes in front of the waiting microphones. It's a fake video. I'll check it out. I will. David Schultz is making a joke about Weekend at Bernie's. And Joe Biden. I must say, that film, I mean, it's hilarious. It's in such bad taste, but I just find it so funny, and it's like, it's getting extra funny now. It really is. Porkchop says it's 4 p.m. in the States. Wish I could hang around longer. Enjoy the channel and perspectives. Cheers. It's 16:05. That's 4, I assume. Right, you are, Porkchop. Take care. Jam Noise says, I've not looked at Biden closely, but I've only just seen it now. You guys talked about the plane steps, yeah? Someone mentioned that he'd fallen down the steps, Jam. Angel says, are you still a hospital porter? If so, what do you think of the TikTok videos? Oh, Angel, I'm no longer a hospital porter. I actually was discharged in 2016. A long story connected to that. It was a stinks to high heaven. The TikTok videos, oh, that's the nurses dancing. I think it's a sign that they're just bored because there's nothing to do. I'm on touch with people on the inside. They cleared the decks for action. You see, they set up these Nightingale hospitals. In the acute care units, they're basically sending everyone home who they can. So that's all the admissions, all the people who are normally admitted to acute care are being treated in the community. So anyone who goes to A&E now, the GP referrals, the clinic referrals, A&E turn-ups, they're just going home. They're being sent home. They're clearing the decks for action because they've been told by the government that we're having a mass pandemic. But you know what? That action has never come. Yeah, these people are just like... Claire says, I had 2 letters indicating they want me to have the vaccination. They didn't mention it isn't required by law. Oh, Claire, if you actually reproduce that, I'm curious to see what those letters look like, about how much they kind of cajole you and nudge you. I mean, because they can be very persuasive. I mean, I did an article about people who had Down syndrome babies, about how the midwives and the doctors were like trying to force them to have tests, and if it came back positive, they would really say they would try and get them to terminate the pregnancy, and there was literally a foot in the door situation when they refused. Jam Noise says, check it out, Jackie. Yeah, we're discussing the CGI thing for Biden. I haven't looked at it myself either, but I'll have a look and see what it says. Sam Rowbotham says, Boris had the jab twice. Yeah, I bet he did. I bet he did. You know what? The first time he did it, the cameraman said, sorry, I didn't catch that. Can we go again? And so he had another bloody jab. Badger Botherer says, I've been invited to have my vaccine and told them I'm a high-risk group, but only 52 in imperfect health. It depends, Badger Botherer. I mean, if you go around doing what your name suggests, then I think you want to take very, very good care of your health. Nihilist says they're rewriting history. There'll be every variant except the Wuhan variant. It's going to keep. The thing is, this variants are going to keep coming out. It's going to get less virulent as it goes on. Styx was saying about this. It'll get milder as it goes on and on, but it's going to be like flu. It's just going to keep going back. Jam says Boris has had saline. He'll be chip self-assembling operating system. He will not become transhumanism because he's one of them. He may well it may well simply that he just had a deliberate placebo jab or something, Jackie. He never really had the vaccine. Oh, yeah. Where are we now? Zephyrin Cochrane. For some reason I can't. This has been... what's this? Right. This has been blocked, but it says... Ben BitChute, Red Pill 78, Biden green screen, done a video on the fakery. I'll check that out, Zephyrin, I will. TK says this is a dog-eat-dog world where people rob you of your motorbike. Thieves with legs. TK, are you... Tony Kenner, of course. Yeah, Tony Kenner. All right, yeah. I thought so, because, of course, we discussed this in the chat box last night, didn't we? Legend Real said, democracy, the right to decline opt-out clauses there. Well, not for much longer, you see. The dictatorship is when the government tell you what to do. Democracy is where government sort of manipulate your minds to do what the government want to tell you to do anyway. So it's always as I've brought this up before, democracy is a confidence trick. Claire's going to try and find the letter, including the threatening letter. It's on a pile of threatening letters from TV licensed people as well on the hallway floor. Well done, Claire. Nice one. Don't pay for your own enslavement. Don't pay for your own mind control. Well done. Jackie says, I've had 2 texts from my GP. I've blocked them now. Lol. Well done, Jackie. I mean, they haven't contacted me yet. I can't wait until they do. I mean, I'm not in a high-risk group either, but... Angel Moon says the 1,700 a week imprisonment replaced the Nightingale hospitals. Why couldn't they put the so-called COVID patients in the NH and keep the hospitals running? It's a total scam, all of it. Yeah, I'm in touch with people on the inside. My brother Porters and my sister Porters and other people I knew, and they're telling me things. Rabbit says, so when are you expecting millions of people who are dropping dead from the vaccine yet? Well, Rabbit, if the model proposed, discovered by Len Horowitz is correct, it'll be in a few years' time if it's cancer viruses. However, it could be something like, have you ever seen Utopia? Do watch it. It's on. You can get it quite easily on. Well, there's 2 versions. There's the one produced by Amazon, that's not as good. It's an American one. It's not as good. But there's an original one from like a few years ago, from about 5 years ago, produced by Channel 4, and that's brilliant. Both are worth watching, I must say, but the British one's better. It's really, it's incredible. Just watch it and you'll see what I mean. And funnily enough, both series were cancelled. The first one was cancelled after the second season. The Amazon one just got 1 season, then it was cancelled. I wonder why, because they were both very popular. Sonara's Ashtray. How are you, Sonara? I'm late to the party, evening. Oh, that's all right, Sonara. I mean, you come and go as you please. But thanks for joining us. Sam, on Twitter, I am at Porterhood. I'll write it down for you here. You can get me here. That's me on Twitter. Yeah. Diego Rivera says they're already dying. Marvin Hagler. Did he die? Did Marvin Hagler die of the coup? He was the boxer, wasn't he? Everyone's really... Yeah, lots of public grief about that. I was saying last night, what is it about boxers? They tend to be really nice guys, don't they? I mean, it's just really... There's exceptions, like Mike Tyson, who was horrible. I mean, he bit this guy's ears off. He raped a woman. I mean... But boxers tend to be really nice guys. And you wouldn't think so, but they are. People like the Rocky Balboa type character, hard as anything fighting in the ring, but when he's outside the ring, he's this really kind of disingenuous and genial and sweet-natured man. And there are so many real boxers like that. And I think it's because the natural aggression that we all have, men especially, which is just part of human nature. It's just the way we are. If you can... Look, what boxers do is that aggression is channeled into a very highly disciplined sport, which allows the rest of their personality to develop and mature very well. So I think that might explain why boxers tend to be nice guys. But anyway, yeah, but he was only 66, Marvin Hagler, wasn't he? That's again quite young, only 2 years older than Ian. Helen Moody says, in reference to laws currently I'm fairly certain that the UK is using ancient Roman and ancient Egyptian laws, not maritime laws, awaiting lockdown lifts so I can get research sources accessible. Yeah, Helen, I'll believe it when I see it, but they are. I know Ian talked about how the EU was bringing in Napoleonic law, which basically means everything's banned unless the government says so, as opposed to English common law, which means everything's permitted unless the government says so. David Schultz, in the States there were 1,600 deaths and 30,000 adverse effects from the vaccine. You are playing vaccine reload. That's incredible, isn't there? Considering how long the vaccine's been available. 1,600 deaths, 30,000 adverse effects. Angel, I'm glad. I thought if you went to AV2, then you'd probably have seen Utopia. Yeah, definitely. Rabbit Ben still has Conspiracy Watch blocked on Twitter. Yes, I do, because whoever they are, I don't care. I don't care if you're a skeptic. That's absolutely fine. But if you come on gloating about David Icke being banned, then that's it. You're out. I'm afraid you're out the door. Claire says, "Isn't Joe Rogan a retired boxer? He was. He's like a mixed martial arts cage fighter. He was. Yeah. I think he's regretting. I think he's very much regretting." His Spotify thing, because basically he really sucks since he went over to Spotify. All his best stuff's gone. He had to get rid of Stephen Greer. He had to get rid of Sargon of Akkad. He had to get rid of Douglas Murray. He had to get rid of all the really interesting guests. Oh yeah, the Cockmeister. Hello, how are you, Cockmeister? Please don't delete this feed as can't listen live. We'll watch later tonight. Thank you, Ben. You do Ian proud. Cockmeister, I won't delete it, I promise. No, what I do is... they're all available as recordings. All my live streams are available as recordings. If for any reason they get yeeted, I'm actually got record on at the moment on OBS. So I'm both recording and streaming. If it gets yeeted, I'll simply upload the recording to my alt tech sites, and I'll make a video explaining what I've done. So don't worry, you'll be able to see this. Don't worry. Thank you very much. God bless and rest in peace, Ian. Yeah. Knowledge Lives Matter thinks Tyson was set up with the rape conviction. Oh, I don't remember. If I've made a mistake, of course I'm wrong there. Yeah. Jackie's just explaining how she was with a relative and they had the television on and it made her feel sick. Jackie, it's incredible when you get into this sort of thing and I mean, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself now, but I think you feel the same way based on what you said. I only watch stuff online now. There's a TV in the house, I hardly watch it. I don't have one in here. It's like, I don't, it's just horrible. I mean, whenever I'm in a home where there's a TV, like my daughter's place, I went round there last week, and she was there with her housemates, and the television was on, and I think it was, they were watching the news watching a news program, and I just sat there thinking, oh, and then EastEnders came on, and it was like, they all watched the soaps, the EastEnders, and it was just like revolting. I could almost feel it's the stench, the sort of mental stench, like sewage. It's like an open sewer in your room, as Richard D. Hall says. It coming out at me, and I was feeling really horrible. And then, my daughter was switched on, but her housemates were like sitting there like that, and they were just watching it, and they were taking it all in. It was like they didn't even notice it because they were in that swamp, they were in that sewer, and they were just so used to it. Sam, I'll check Twitter. Thanks very much. I'll check TK. I'll also check that Biden video. Yeah, Patrick Patel. Ben, I'm not gay, but if I were gay or a woman, I would definitely fall in love with you. You're quite handsome, even without your hair. Thank you very much. That's nice to know. Yeah. It's like a sawtooth noise, Claire says about mainstream media. Yeah, it is. It's like I just think it's like watching EastEnders. It's the people on it. They're going, "Oh, you're doing my head in." It's like listening to like monkeys at the zoo chattering or grunting. It's like it hardly sounds like English. It's horrible. And the things it's so nihilistic. I mean, my Oxford graffiti video. I made this video. It's in my last graffiti video. I made this point. It's so incredibly depressing and nihilistic. Angel says the World Economic Forum are basically telling us what the new normal will mean for us all, and not a peep from the MSM scum. Yeah, they're just sitting there. Davos, Davos is actually appearing in the bloody G7 are coming to Cornwall next year. Actually, someone said that. So that's actually someone who's in the chat box now. They can own up if they want to. Told me that the G7 are going to be in Cornwall next year. Good grief. They're coming to this ancient mystical land, and they're going to bring their bloody horribleness with them. And the World Economic Forum is basically the same. The Davos group is actually basically the Bilderberg group with a public relations department. It's Bilderberg without the secrecy. Claire says I look like a reincarnation of Winston Churchill. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, I'll get my cigar out. Yeah, his famous voice was actually it was an actor from the BBC. He used to read the Winnie the Pooh out on the radio. It wasn't Churchill at all. Churchill was just sitting. Churchill was an alcoholic and a manic depressive. He couldn't make those speeches. Where are we now? Ben's pulled. Oh, I don't. I mean, I only dress like this for special occasions, and I need a bigger shirt. One thing about this, like I said earlier, I put on like all this weight because of the lockdown. I couldn't hardly get the shirt on. I had to go to a funeral actually a couple of months ago. It was actually my old next door neighbour, a woman who used to babysit for me when I was a little kid, and she died. I had to. There was all the social distancing thing and masks. It was bloody awful. Claire says you look very smart, but you need to get your MAGA hat back on, as your lack of tan on your bond spoils your look. Oh yeah. Well, that's why I have to split that light. You see, it glares, doesn't it? This is why I normally wear a hat at all times. Sam, I will check Twitter. Thank you. Yeah, I could grow hair a little bit up here, but you see, it's in terms of like my head. I kind of jumped before I was pushed, because if I did grow hair, I'd look like a typical kind of balding guy, Jackie says I was just having it on. It was making me ill, and then the news was made me sick. And oh my god, it's gross how it makes my skin crawl. Jackie, that is simply because you are used to you're used to higher energy, more uplifting things, because you look at content, you choose the content you watch, and it's the good content that you get online from really creative people. And I do the same. So and you avoid mainstream media propaganda. I do too. I only ever watch it if I'm doing like an analysis of something. The only time I watch mainstream media propaganda is when I'm going to do some kind of report on how awful it is. So I'm not used to it. And then when I go, like yourself, when you went to your mum's, I went to my daughter's. I just went in there, and at EastEnders, it was just like, and I thought, ugh, goodness gracious, because I'd lost my tolerance for the poison, and if the others, when you don't have that tolerance, the poison still affects you. You just don't notice it. Tina says I haven't had a TV for 10 years. Very wise. And Angel, it's 15 years. Yeah, you're not missing much, I'll tell you. Yeah. TK says I haven't had a TV license since 2005. Very well done, TK. Very well done. I think mine gets extracted from the rent, so because I pay just like the rent, and I think that it all gets extracted from that. But I in my last place, I tore up my TV license. Hugo says, over 20 years, no TV here, although I'm watching an early Coronation Street on YouTube. Well done, Hugo. I mean, that's 20 years of detoxification. That's equivalent of going to one of these spas, really. And it's the mental equivalent of where you go to a spa where you eat lettuce leaves and carrot juice and have saunas and massages. And you know what? If you're watching an early Coronation Street, then it used not to be so bad. I mean, there was, early soap operas weren't too bad. Nihilist says soaps are very subversive. Case in point, Corrie, Roy, and Haley. I don't watch it. I don't know. Sonara's Astri says it is all right. She's explained. They're literally going to be a few hundred yards away from me. Oh my God! Yeah, it's Sonara I was referring to earlier about Cornwall and the bloody Davos people and the G7. Oh dearie me! Lock your doors and windows, Sonara. All right, just things like that. You never know what they get up to, these people. Especially when they know there's someone around who's subversive and a dissident. Ed Kayla, hello, how are you? Rabbit says, so let me get this right. The CIA, Illuminati, Mossad, NWO, Deep State made a CGI of Biden tripping as he went up some steps. Don't they have better things to do with their time? Well, yeah, I mean, if that's the CGI, was that the CGI bit? I don't know. I've not seen it. Yeah, David Schultz repeats what he said about the people dying in the States. What's happened in the UK? Well, there's been no published, according to the mainstream media, there have been no adverse side effects at all from anyone taking the vaccine. They won't. I know it's happening because there's YouTube videos and there's tweets and things like that of people saying, I took the vaccine and now I feel like shit. There's other people who are experiencing convulsions and things like that and insomnia. But that won't be reported in the news. There are no statistics being collected. It's all complete and total. It's just basically anecdotal stuff from individuals. But there's enough out there for essentially to prove our point. Tina Silver, night-night, Tina. Take care. Oh, I'll go back up there. Cosmic Claire says, my friends in Cornwall wouldn't like it, but could we detach it and stick it in the middle of the Atlantic where the Economic Forum people aren't there? Don't want any of Klaus's anal schwabs near here. Why do I have to approve that? Klaus. Do you remember that song at Christmas? Schwabi Klaus is watching your town. Angel Moon, the adverts are worse. Oh, they're awful. I mean, they used to be quite witty. Do you remember Carling, Black Label, and Milk Tray? The Lady Loves Milk Tray. They were like little movies, weren't they? You could get them on YouTube, luckily, all the most entertaining adverts. I mean, television's bad when the adverts are... But you don't. You now get horrible... they're just awful now. They're so materialistic and they're so disgusting and they're full of cultural Marxism and things like that. They're just awful. Alright, guys. Fast Driver says, I do enjoy Netflix, though. Do you know what? I've been watching Netflix. Now, before you say anything, it's not my own account. Someone else has let me share their account. I wouldn't pay for it, not after that Cuties thing. Do you remember the thing I did with Ren Michaelis? about the Cuties, which is a film which I think is very, very sinister in terms of sexualizing children. Rex Rampage says, Ben, how's it going? Sad to hear of the passing of Ian. He was ahead of his time. All good people leaving us, moving over to the other side. I hope he rests in peace. Yeah, I know what you mean, Rex. It's as I was saying earlier, you know, it seems like the best people are dying off young, and the evil ones are just carrying on and on and on. It's like, it's, you know, when's Henry Kissinger going to die? I mean, finally David Rockefeller's gone and Mugabe's gone. What about Henry Kissinger and Prince Philip? Prince Philip he's come out of hospital. Oh God, just linger. I mean, how old was David Rockefeller? He popped off 100. God knows. I mean, he was officially 101, but he could well have been a lot older. He could very well have been a lot older. You know, I mean. Thing is, supposing he was older and he'd been taking, you know, he'd been having infusions of children's blood continuously, and he was like about 150 or something. I mean, who's going to prove him wrong? If he has a fake birth certificate, who's going to prove him wrong? Who is going to be around? Who's still going to be around who knew him when he was young and to be able to say, no, that guy's older than he looks? No, they'll all have died off, won't they? Rabbit asked me, do I think I'm a subversive and a dissident? Yes, I do. Nihilist says it would be fascinating to time travel and take an average Joe from 1991 and put them in front of 2021 BBC. Yeah, I think they would, like, their jaw would drop and they'd probably throw up on the floor. Hello, Green Sky. Need to be on Prozac to watch EastEnders. Green Sky, EastEnders is Prozac. It does to your brain what SSRIs do. It really does. I mean, EastEnders is not the only one. There's lots of them. Nihilist Lives Matter says, go back further than that, 1970. Well, Jackie, if someone did that, the person would probably just die. They'd probably just die of total toxic overload. Mental toxic shock syndrome. Yeah, Angel Moon says that YouTube has some great films on. Yeah, they have some. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't pay for Netflix. I know Ed Kaler is having a bit of a go at someone for watching Netflix. I honestly wouldn't. I recommend not. I'm not going to be nasty to you, but I recommend not. Who was it they were having a go at? Fast Driver. I'm not going to judge you, Fast Driver, but I recommend not. See if you can share someone's account or something if you really want to. If you really want to watch Netflix badly, and there's lots of people who like let you share their account. Jam noise. I'm a secret lemonade drink. Oh, whites. 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 That was funny, wasn't it? There's that guy, that Buddy Holly guy. Whites lemonade. The man from Milk Tray would be labelled as a predator today, wouldn't he? Yeah. They couldn't make a. Funny enough, they wouldn't be able to make the film about Lord Nelson. They couldn't make that now, would they? Because when he said "kiss me, Hardy," Hardy would say, "No, no way. You'll sue me for sexual harassment." Oh man. Patrick says, Boris Johnson says he had the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, but how do we know he actually had the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine? People like him are good at performing tricks for entertainment. Yeah, all we saw was him sitting like a wally on a nurse's bench or couch with his stupid black coof mask on, his sleeves rolled up, and a nurse has an injection syringe placed against his arm. We don't know what's in that syringe. It could be like saline. It could be just simply coloured water. It could be just like salty water, for all we know. Me too, Milk Tray Man. Nice one, Nihilist. Ray Williams. Crane was overweight for a long time. Recipe for bad health. Well, Ray, he was a chubby chap. He was quite large, and but he lost a lot of weight actually for a while. I mean, he was actually in good health. He looked after himself. He ate good food. Some people are just naturally quite corpulent. I think I'm one of these people. I mean, believe it or not, I'm actually quite fit. I do get my job involves a lot of exercise. Some people are just naturally quite corpulent. Ed Kaler says, let me guess, Ian's I think you mean death certificate. The death certificate said COVID-19. Well, who knows these days, Ed? Who knows? Fast Driver says Capricorn 1 is on YouTube. Good. That's an excellent film. That's very conspiratorial. Right now. Rabbit says Hardcore Henry. You can watch it for free on YouTube. All right. That sounds like the kind of video you'd probably get on a different kind of video sharing site, but fair enough. DJ Peter, hello. Went to one of Ian's events. It was a good experience. TK, I think Rabbit is Droik. The one I went to meet with a sword and cricket helmet. I don't think he is TK. I don't. I could spot them. Yeah. Jam Noise says EastEnders is Soma. Oh. It's something horrible. It's just got horrible vibes. It's almost like I wonder if it's got like subliminal messages in the soundtrack, or little flash frames full of, I don't know, pictures of dead bodies or rabbits being killed or something like that. It's just whenever I watch it, I come away feeling like a lump of turd, like a turd. I really do. Cosmic Claire, the blood of the British would be banned off TV as being racist. Or perhaps they do a redo with Idris Elba as Alfred the Great and David Lammy guesting as Boudica. Oh my goodness me. It wouldn't surprise me, David Lammy I don't think can act, but that wouldn't stop him, would it? I mean, he's got other features, of course, which means that they want him on TV all the time. It's they banned, that Zulu has been cancelled, which is a fantastic film. It's not only is it like very respectful to the Zulus, it portrays them. The Zulus, if you remember, are they're very brave. They're very cunning in terms of strategy. Obviously, very intelligent and highly organised army. And they're very honourable. I mean, the whole thing is always about the whole film is about how you can. It's possible to get into conflicts, even very violent conflicts, yet not lose your humanity. There's this amazing scene at the end, of course, when the Zulus... Do you remember at the end when the Zulus give up? And they stand back and they do this dance, and Michael Caine says, what are they going to do? Are they going to attack us again? And then the other actor says, no, they're saluting us, because they're saluting us for being great warriors. They've given up. They're going away. Then it's been... Zulu's been cancelled. It's one of the most positive, one of the most well-made, one of the most intelligent, one of the most intellectual... And yes, uplifting films. And it's been cancelled. Oh, hi. Zoda says, Ben, awesome. Yeah, Patrick Patel. Ben, you're a beautiful man. Always entertaining because you're very funny and knowledgeable. Thank you, Patrick. David says, I watched the White House Farm drama on Netflix. Terrible miscarriage of justice. Jeremy Bamber is innocent. What was that all about? I can't remember. I can't remember what that was all about. Rabbits asks, who is Droik? Oh, just watch my Confronting Droik video. DJ B2. I saw Michael Tessarian in Livable Beyond Knowledge 2008. I think you were there, Ben. Yes, I was, DJ. I've written a review of it. It's still there on the main Hapanmo blog. Did we meet? Because that was a really good conference. I remember it. Where we are. I'm gonna end it soon if you don't mind, guys. I think we're going a bit off topic, and I think we've given Ian a good send off, haven't we? But I'll just answer these questions here about. Rabbit says David says having fat in your body makes you less prone to cancer because the fat cells absorb the toxins. That's good news for me. Maybe Boris Johnson is CGI, says Rabbit. Capricorn 1, yeah. Ed Kaler, yes, O.J. Simpson is in Capricorn 1. That was an interesting, yeah, the guy who... Funnily enough, Ed, the guy who... The pathologist who examined the body of his wife was the same one who examined Epstein. Yeah. Angel, Rule Britannia is now racist. Angel, that's why I played it. When they had the proms on, I played it. I played every single band tune on Hapanmo Radio. I'm going to Let's have a look. Claire Cook says soaps like Stenders are daily examples of how we behave in the most spiteful way possible. Yes, it's very socially Darwinist. It's very it preaches. Claire, EastEnders actually promotes pseudo-psychopathy. I think it really does. I could go on for all about that. Ed Cayley says Zulu was horrible propaganda. Ed, it wasn't. It wasn't. Zulu Dawn, yeah, that was good too. Green Sky, do you think Nicola Sturgeon will be out soon? I bloody hope so. Maya Tusi thinks she's on her last legs, but he's been saying that like for about a month. I hope we lose that big fish. Yeah. Mind you, who are they going to replace her with? Probably that Adolf Youssef. You know, the guy who goes, white! This person is white! And that person is white! And I hate everyone who is white! He's the one pushing that bloody hate crime bill, isn't he? The one that says you can't make a politically incorrect comment in your own home. Claire, don't worry about not being able to stay up for the show. It's a very long one. It really, really was. Jam Noise says, thank you for all your work, Ian. You will always be remembered. Thanks. Yes, Ian R. Crane, I know you will. I think he's out there. He's watching us right now. And I really do think he's a really, really good guy. And we're going to miss him, I think. Hugo Roon says good night. Rex, Ben, have you been followed Ghislaine Maxwell case? Yeah. Is she still alive? Blimey, not for much longer. DJ recommends Jordan Peterson. Yeah, he's good. Angel Moons. Blessings to Angel Moons. Angel Moon says, blessings to all. We are the many, they are the few. Night, night, all. Night, night, Angel. Thank you. You take it easy. DJ says Ian R. Crane was a legend. Jamnoy says I love men. Good, well done, Jackie. You haven't been taken in by feminism. My daughter's the same, you know. She said someone mentioned feminism. She said, "Oh fuck feminism." Yeah, I think the message is getting through. Only 7% of women self-identify as feminists now. In 1965, it was about 35%. So yeah. Guys, it's been a great one, isn't it? Night, night, soul sister. Thank you, Jackie, for taking part. I really appreciate it. Ian has gone but not forgotten. He really, really has. It's gone but not forgotten. It's he was a great guy. He's a lovely, lovely man. I think he's somebody none of us will ever forget. Those who met him and knew him will never forget that. But, many, many people who haven't even heard his name yet, I think, are going to hear his name. Long after he's gone, people who've never heard of him before are going to watch the videos that I watched when I got inspired by him. And they're going to go through the same process of inspiration and education that I went through during this period of my life where I became what I am today. And a lot of it was down to Ian. Obviously, I was being inspired by many people, but Ian was one of the real main central figures who I think led me on my way here and got me into the conference circuit. Really, really did. I think, it's a really, really good... a really, really... he's a really force for good in this world. He's gone. And as I said before, when someone goes, you really notice their absence, even though you take them for granted. But he's not forgotten. He never will be. And I find that, as I said, in my last video about this, the one that I put in the description box it's Ian R. Crane Dies. It's the one I made just literally the day after I found out he was sick, which is about 2 weeks ago now. I said at the time that it was too soon, it was all too raw. Because I said, I did say I'll do a live stream at some point. I will do one. But right now, it was just too painful, it was too soon afterwards. And I was right. I'm glad I left it a fortnight before I did this live stream. But I have done the live stream now. Last night I did the tribute show on Hapanmo Radio. And tonight I've done this Ian R. Crane Memorial live stream. And for me personally, I think this has given me closure. That bereavement counsellors are always saying closure, and things like that. I mean, I like the continuing bonds thing, quite frankly, but I don't have time to go into the controversy in bereavement counselling right now. But it has given me closure. I feel I feel different. I feel better now than I did 2 days ago. Ian's funeral was actually filmed. It's on Matthew Williams' channel, Truth Seekers 666, which I haven't watched yet, but I will. I will watch it at some point. But you know, I do feel better now about the whole thing. I feel happier because I was very, very sad. I was, as you could tell from the first video, I was very, very sad when Ian passed away. And I'm still sad, of course, but I'm also happy. I'm happy for him that he can go on to the next world, continue with his journey, and look back and think, my God, I did a bloody good job there. And he did, didn't he? Everyone in the chat box, good night, all of you. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Have a great evening. I'll be back soon with another video. There's lots of other interesting things. Because the world goes on, and the inspiration and the education that Ian gave us, I'm going to now continue to put into practice on Hapanwo TV. You take care, all of you. God bless you, Ian R. Crane. Rest in peace.